health alert all new tonight at 6. It started as a typical flight from Charlotte to Seattle, but days later, one local man said he wasn't feeling quite right. A trip to the doctor revealed he had blood clots in his lungs.
Unfortunately, they were able to catch it in time, but thousands of others at risk for blood clots might not be so fortunate. NBC Charlotte's Mark Boyle talked with the local man who hopes this story can save another life.
That passenger boarded the plane here in Charlotte behind me and headed for the West Coast. It was after he landed, things went downhill from there. KT Stovall's trip to the Pacific Northwest began with that long flight from Charlotte to Seattle.
We took a regular flight. It was a straight nonstop flight there.
The 37-year-old arrived in Seattle jet-lagged, as most would be.
When I arrived there in Seattle, I noticed that, getting up off the plane, my leg was sore, it was a little stiff. I figured it was just, again, sitting on a plane for 6 hours.
A few days later, back at home in Charlotte, the throbbing pain in his legs moved to his chest. He had a hard time breathing, and it was then he made the decision to visit the hospital.
They did the x-rays, did a few other tests and some scans, and they said that I just had a bunch of blood clots in my lungs.
Turns out Stovall had suffered a pulmonary embolism, or blood clot. It was severe and getting worse. His cardiologist from Novant Health explains if he didn't get treated when he did, his future could have turned out much differently.
We could have lost him, and I'll tell you one thing, that 10% of individuals presenting with his condition will die within the first 1 hour.
According to the CDC, 100,000 Americans could die from blood clots this year. Sudden death is the first symptom in nearly 25% of patients. And it's not just long flights that trigger blood clots. Sitting down for too long without moving, obesity, and genetics also contribute. As for Stovall, looking back, he's just glad he acted as soon as he did.
And the doctors were saying that, hey, you're lucky that you came to see us when you did. If you would have let this linger on a little bit longer, it may have been a lot worse.
And we can report tonight good news for Stovall. He is on the road to recovery. Fortunately, he got to the doctor sooner rather than later. I'm Mark Boyle reporting at the Charlotte Douglas International Airport tonight for NBC Charlotte.